All right, ladies, I want to tell you the biggest mistake that I see people make around boundaries. I have coached hundreds of women going through betrayal trauma, women who have had husbands who are addicted to pornography, who they've had affairs. There's all kinds of behavior that they are not okay with. And they want to set a boundary and they do it the wrong way. The number one mistake that I see people make is that they make the boundary about the other person. Boundaries are not about the other person's behavior. Boundaries are about you, and they have to be something that you can control so that you can then have your own back and keep yourself safe. Let me do an example so you guys know what I'm talking about. If you say, all right, if my husband relapses again, I want to have a boundary in place because I'm not okay with that. I want to make sure that I am safe emotionally. Awesome. Here's the mistake. People usually then say, okay, so that means that my boundary is if he relapses, then he has to sleep on the couch. The problem with this is that it's all about the other person and it's in the other person's control. So let's say he relapses and you're like, all right, hon, now you have to sleep on the couch. Well, unless you are actually physically able to move him to the couch, if he says no, I don't want to sleep on the couch, I'm just going to stay right here in this bed, what are you going to do about it? All of a sudden, you've set a boundary that isn't actually a boundary. It's a consequence, right? A boundary is not about him. A boundary, on the other hand, would look like, hey, if you relapse, I'm going to go take some time for myself. I'm going to go for a drive. I'm going to sleep on the couch. I'm going to go to my mom's for a night. The boundary is all about you and you have control over it. And that's the thing that keeps you safe because it's something that you can control. So I want you to notice who is it in your life that you want to have a boundary around and why, and what is that boundary in place right now? And is it really a boundary or is it a consequence? Because if it's about the other person, if it's about the other person changing their behavior, then you're just going to be super frustrated because you're going to feel stuck waiting for the other person to do what it is you want them to do. And you're just going to say, they're violating my boundary. They're not paying attention to my boundary. They're not respecting my boundary. And that's not what it is. What it is at all. What's happening is you haven't set the boundary up correctly. Instead, you've created a consequence. And that's never going to work for you. So the boundary has to be all about you. So look at yourself. What is it that I'm going to do? What is it that I have control of? You decide that for yourself. You decide what's best for you. And then you have your own back and you enact it. And that's what a boundary is.